Hi everyone, this is Dave from Geekanoids. Now just yesterday, Apple held their media event where they announced so many new products and also some great news about the latest version of their desktop software. Now rather than me sit here and run through each product in turn, give you the specifications and the pricing, I'm not going to waste your time with that. You can go to Apple's website and get that. If you're going to place an order, that's the first thing you're going to do is check out the specification and the pricing. It's readily available online. Instead, I'm going to run through everything they announced, give you my opinion, and then also a little bit of advice as to whether I think it's worth upgrading from a previous generation or not. So let's kick things off with the desktop software, Mac OS X Mavericks. It has got hundreds of new features. It looks really fantastic, and in fact, I'm installing it as I'm recording this on my own MacBook Air. Now, apparently, one of the great features I'm looking forward to testing is the fact that it supports multiple displays better. That's sort of the highlight feature for me. I know there's a lot more besides that. I'm not going to go into in-depth details in this video, but I want to talk to you about whether it's worth upgrading. Well, in previous announcements, Apple have charged a small amount for an upgrade, be it something like £10, £15, £20. They've been very, very reasonable in the amount they've actually charged for an upgrade compared certainly to something like Microsoft Windows. Well, the big news, and this is absolutely fantastic, absolutely free. So you can upgrade to Mac OS X Mavericks free of charge. So the discussion on this next bit, is it worth upgrading or not, is going to be very short, because the straight and simple answer is if your hardware supports it, then yes, definitely upgrade. As with all upgrades, my advice to you is make sure you back up your important files first before you do an upgrade, and then set that upgrade going. I'm sure you will enjoy the new experience. Now next up, Apple announced new MacBook Pros. They announced a 13-inch version, thinner, Intel Haswell processor, Iris graphics or Iris Pro graphics, better battery life, cheaper. In fact, it now starts at £1,099. They also announced a new 15-inch version. Again, new processors here, better graphics. Not necessarily cheaper though. They seem to have made the baseline one maybe a little bit cheaper, correct me if I'm wrong, but the higher end one seems to be the best one to go for, because the baseline doesn't have dedicated graphics. So I was a little bit confused as to why they did that. They seem to make it sound like a really good deal, but then they actually didn't give you a dedicated graphics card in the entry-level 15-inch Retina MacBook Pro. They're both still great machines, and Iris graphics on the lower end one, yes, it won't perform as well as the dedicated graphics in the high-end MacBook Pro Retina, but it's not that far behind, so it's not a deal breaker by any means. I just think Apple should have, well, they wouldn't have highlighted it, but they should have at least made it clear that that baseline model doesn't have a dedicated graphics card. So don't miss that when you're looking at ordering online. Do bear that in mind. Then they moved on to the new Mac Pro. Yes, the little tiny Mac Pro that will sit on your desk looking all shiny rather than sitting under your desk gathering dust. Now, they pre-announced this back in WWDC at the keynote then, but it wasn't available. It was going to be available later in the year. And we all expected that at the announcement yesterday, they would say, here's the new Mac Pro, here's the specifications again, here's the pricing, order it now. But in fact, they gave us all the details and the pricing, and it starts at $2,999 or £2,499, but it's not available until December. So we've got to wait again until December. Would it be right late on in December or just before Christmas? We don't know that yet, but certainly a very, very interesting machine. Xeon E5 processors up to 64 gigabytes of 1866 megahertz DDR3 RAM, dual AMD FirePro graphics cards and up to 1 terabyte flash drive. It supports up to 3 4K displays, so we're expecting at some stage in the future Apple might announce a new 4K display as well. I've got the Thunderbolt display here, so a new 4K display would be very, very nice, but it's going to be expensive. We've also got external expansion on this, so you can't upgrade the new Mac Pro internally. You have to add on the expansion or your upgrades externally. They give you plenty of ports for that, 6 Thunderbolt ports on the back, actually Thunderbolt 2 ports, and you can actually add 6 devices per port. So that's, if my maths are right, 36 external devices. So you're going to suddenly see a really nice svelte looking machine, something that looks really beautiful on your desk, surrounded by external boxes. Not a great idea, I know. There's also 4 USB 3 ports, and those I/O ports light up. So lots of niceties with the new Mac Pro. So we'll watch that space with great interest and see when it becomes available. Now we'll move on to a little bit of news about software again. New iLife apps. So all of the iLife apps have been upgraded. The new iMovie looks different again. Not sure whether that was a good move. They are going to all be free with new hardware purchases. And then we had updates to the iWork apps, things like Pages, Keynote and Numbers. Very, very good applications. And again, all of them free with new device purchases. So great news all round. It seems like Apple are really adding extra value to their hardware purchases by giving us really great software to play with and create with, not just play. So a good move on Apple's part. And then they moved on to iPads, and one of them was a surprise. In fact, I'm going to save that till the last bit of this video. They did announce a new iPad mini, retina display, new FaceTime HD camera, available in silver white or the new sort of space grey black version, and it's available in late November, so you can't order that yet. You've got to wait until later on in November. The non-retina version of the iPad mini is still available, and they've made that cheaper, so cheaper entry point for the little tiny iPads. And then the big announcement that I've saved till last for you was the new full-size iPad. It's the same 9.7-inch display, but it's got a new name. It has a new name, and they called it the iPad Air. At first I thought, not a good name, but actually it's grown on me and I do like it. I've got a MacBook Air myself, so a thinner, lighter iPad Air certainly does make sense. Now it's got thinner bezels, so the bezels down the left and right hand side are certainly a lot thinner. Not sure about top and bottom, although they looked a little bit thinner as well. A 20% thinner case, so it's even thinner when you're looking at it side on. Same size screen as I mentioned, 9.7 inches, but it's even lighter now and it weighs just 1 pound. Wow, that's going to make a big difference actually, because the full-size iPad has been criticised for being not too comfortable to hold for prolonged periods of time. So a good move that they made it lighter. Now they've done all this but kept the same battery life, so we still get 10 hours of battery life, which is really fantastic news. It's faster with the new A7 processor. It's also got that co-processor in it as well. It's got better cameras, dual mics, available in silver white, space grey black, same prices as the previous one. They've still kept the old iPad 2 available, which was a big surprise, and that is cheaper as well. Now the new iPad Air is available online and in stores November the 1st, so I'll certainly be getting one into the Geekanoids studio to test. So that was it. I say that was it. It was a whole lot of announcements. They really did go through them very, very quickly, and there is something in there for everyone. Now I said I'd give you some advice as to whether you should possibly upgrade from a previous generation. Well, Mac OS X Mavericks, that goes without saying, it's free, so definitely upgrade. The new MacBook Pros, if you've got a previous generation Retina MacBook Pro, then yes, it is a speed increase. Yes, we will be getting better battery life, but then Mac OS X Mavericks on your current generation MacBook Pro should deliver better battery life anyway. It's probably, in my opinion, not worth upgrading from the previous generation to the newer generation. If you're a couple of generations behind, so like 2011 and before, then yeah, it's a very, very good machine. They are highly priced, but you do get a lot for your money. With regards to the Mac Pro, well, again, is it really necessary? Do you need all that processing power? If you've got a previous generation Mac Pro from 2012 or 2011, probably it's not an essential upgrade. If you're before that, so 2010 and before, then yeah, definitely. This new Mac Pro is going to be like light and day. It's going to offer up some really fantastic speed improvements. The only other reason I would recommend you getting one of the new Mac Pros is if you rely on speed of processing for your work, i.e. are you sitting at your desk and waiting for something to process, and do you get paid for your time? So if you're working on time sensitive projects and you really need the processing to be to its optimum speed, then yes, it is definitely worthwhile purchasing. The way I always look at these sort of decisions, unless you're rolling in money of course, is will that Mac Pro pay for itself in maybe 3 to 6 months? So have you got enough work that warrants spending that sort of money where the machine will pay for itself in that length of time? If it does, then definitely hit that buy button. Next up, we're looking at the new iLife and iWork apps. Well, they're worth buying, of course, if you haven't got them. They're fantastic applications. If you're buying a new machine, then you're going to get them free of charge anyway, so no worries there. Then we look at the new iPad mini. Is it worth upgrading from the previous generation? Well, it's got the new retina display, which I think is worthwhile alone in upgrading. I think that was the only negative aspect of the current generation iPad mini, was the display wasn't that great. It was good with regards to colour accuracy and backlighting being even, etc., and it looking like a nice display, but the resolution definitely was lacking. So if you've got an original iPad mini, it's definitely worth upgrading to the new one, in my opinion. With regards to the new iPad Air, well, if you've got the 4th generation iPad with retina display, no, it's not an essential upgrade. I'm reading my notes for this video off a 4th gen iPad and it's perfectly fine. It's got a beautiful display. Yes, it is heavy, so if you do a lot of reading, maybe at night time in bed, and you want something lighter, then yes, it is worth upgrading, but it's not an essential upgrade. If you're on a non-retina iPad, or maybe the sort of the first retina iPad that was released, then yes, it's definitely worth considering. You're going to get a nice speed bump in this new iPad Air, and it's certainly going to be a lot more comfortable to hold for prolonged periods of time. So some great announcements from Apple. I'm very, very excited. Just some information for you. The new Retina 15-inch MacBook Pro will be covered on the Geekanoids channel. The new iPad Air will be covered on the channel, and the new Retina iPad mini. We're getting them all in to test for you, and I'll share those videos for you when they land in the studio. So that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoy your new Apple products as well. If you've got any questions at all or any comments, please do leave them in the comments section. Please hit that like button, it really does help. Subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you all in the next one.